Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having a great day. Look, I'm getting off a little late today. It's been going on. It's been one of those mornings. When I tell you it's been one of those mornings, it's been one of those mornings. But hey, that is a part of the equation. If you think you're going to achieve anything great in this life and you're not going to have challenges, you're not going to have setbacks, you're not going to have difficulties, you're not going to have those, oh my moments, then you're sadly mistaken. And that's why so many people balk at the opportunity for greatness, is because they miscalculate the amount of energy, effort, time, sweat, blood, and tears they have to put into it. And the moment that they meet hard times and challenges, they go back to what they know. They go back to their place of comfort. They go back to something a little less challenging, a little less daunting, but they never truly get the fulfillment. They never truly achieve what they were designed and put here to achieve. I want people to live a life that they are constantly operating in the version of themselves that God is intimately acquainted with. And that's the version that's attached to your purpose, the version that's attached to greatness, the version that's attached to a constant thriving and pressing to be everything you were designed to be, so that you fulfill the purpose of the designer in your life. And so that's my challenge to you. If you are not living life at the level of your design, you are failing the designer. And so yes, it's been a challenging day. I mean, right out the gate, it's been challenging, but you know what? I'm still standing, I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight, and I will conquer everything in front of me. It is what I do, it is what I have done, it was what I'll continue to do until I take my last breath. So I'm excited actually, because another thing that'll happen is when you are at a point of breakthrough, you're going to find a lot of little things start to pop up. You're going to find a lot of resistance start to pop up at a point of breakthrough. When you've been pushing, when you've been fighting, when you've been trying to attain something, do something, finish something, there's always things. And so we're going to talk about being thankful, but we're going to be talking about looking beyond the obvious to be thankful. But what I want to share with you first and foremost is, guess what, people? Book number 26 will be released on the 7th of April, but right now we're doing the pre-orders. The release price is $34.99. The pre-order price is $25. This is number 26, and in my assessment, and I'm very critical of my work, in my assessment, this is the best work I've done on personal performance, life performance, personal performance. It's better than Critical Mass, and Critical Mass was dope. It's my number one most requested book. This book brings it, and the title of the book is Transcendent, and Transcendent is based off of my taking the theory, the chaos theory, which is actually a theory in mechanics and mathematics that explains the random action or the random results that tend to pop up in something that's supposed to be completely deterministic and accurate and non-random. There's not supposed to be anything random about mathematics, but what we find even in numerical equations, we find random things that are on the surface inexplicable. I simply took chaos theory and applied it to life. Have you ever noticed that there are people that no matter what the hell is going on around them, they're getting it in? You ever notice there are people who seem to rise above the chaos? And that's what this book is about. It's transcendent, rising above the chaos to win in life. And what it does is it takes chaos theory, but we look at it in the scope of human psychology but we're using numerical equations, we're using numerical ideology, but I break it down. It's real simple. It's no algebra and calculus and anything like that, but it's just understanding that there are patterns. Even in the chaos has patterns. The patterns seem random on the surface, but the patterns have purpose. The patterns lead somewhere. Everything, success leaves patterns, failure leaves patterns, joy leaves patterns. And the thing is, discovering the patterns in the chaos. You ever just seen like this crazy kaleidoscope type thing and everything's going, but if you ever really pay real close attention to it, you got all these different lines look like going everywhere, but if you watch it, it's a pattern in it. And the pattern gives the definition to it. Now, the power of this, it emerged in visionetics, which is another concept I created, is that your perception sets the tone. So it's not what you're going through. It's not the chaos at all. The chaos is just the thing. It's the noise. You got to learn how to quiet the noise. And you quiet the noise by rising above it, understanding that your purpose is not governed by the chaos, but by the pattern. And the pattern is always present. You dip a pattern in water, and the pattern is still there. It's just submersed. You put it out in the wilderness. It's not disappearing. It's just surrounded. You have to be able to understand how the things in your life are hiding the pattern you must discover in order to achieve the thing that you are seeking to achieve. Everything that's in your life that's a part of your vision becomes something built around a pattern. Success has patterns. Success leaves clues. If you want to study how to move somewhere, and if you want to become familiar with what to look for in your pattern, watch the patterns of successful people. A lot of the stuff is going to be the same. Most of them are going to wake up early. Most of them are going to read a lot. Speaking of reading, most of them are going to read a lot. Most of them are going to be surrounded by other successful people. Those are patterns. Watch the patterns and then look in your life and see what's surrounding your pattern. Your pattern is there. There's a natural yearning to be who you were designed to be. There's a natural yearning. But the problem is we get surrounded with the chaos. We get surrounded with the expectations of other people. We get surrounded by the opinions of other people. We get surrounded about what's going on in our life at the moment, momentary circumstances. We get embedded in all of this stuff and we lose sight of the pattern. And then we start trying to function on a day-to-day reaction to what's going on, and we lose ourselves. The pattern is there. Your designer designed you for greatness. And when you're not living life at the level of your design, you're failing the designer. Well, then what must you do? You sit up, and this is what this book is about. This book is about being able to understand. And I designed this. If you look at it, you're looking at somebody's got a puzzling thing going on. They're halfway submerged, but they're coming out. The transcendence is being able to say, I'm coming out. If you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. It's not over. I don't care how dark it looks. I don't care how difficult it seems. I don't care how much is going on in the past, whatever you've gone through. If you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. And the goal is not to become so enamored with the struggle that you lose sight of the solution. You lose sight of the victory. You lose sight of your destiny. You get caught up. So that's this thing. So again, the pre-ordering starts today. Well, it started yesterday. I take that back. The pre-ordering starts yesterday. The book will actually be released at its regular price on April 7th. It is going to be, again, my best book. I took a lot of consideration into a lot of things that people have contributed and suggested and said about previous books. One of the challenges that I've gotten, not a whole lot, but enough to let me know that it's something I needed to pay attention to, was I was a little heavy on the vocabulary and critical mass. That's not going to be the case here. Yes, some of my vocabulary is going to come flow because I want to write in the flow of where I'm at, but I want people to understand what I'm saying. I'm writing to reach people. I'm writing to teach people. I'm writing to inspire and empower. And so the vocabulary is ratcheted down a bit, but it's still some me in there. It's still my tone. It's still my style, but it's all of my knowledge thrown out at you in a way that I think that you're going to be able to receive it. I think that you're going to be able to move in it. I think that you can take it and walk with it. Again, I'm excited about it. You know, when I set this out, 26, man, 26. Is, you know, that alone is something to be thankful for. It's Thankful Thursday. So let's talk about being thankful. You know me, I'm real big on gratitude. I tell you, and I share this all the time, that gratitude is the gateway to abundance. When you establish a heart and a mind of gratitude, you open up the path to receive. When you are complaining, when you are constantly in a state of disapproval and dissatisfaction and whining and complaining about what's going on around you, you close the gate to receive. The focus becomes on lack, and the more you focus on the lack, the more lack seems to present itself. Lack is not even a reality. Lack is a perception that is in error. God designed this world to be full and abundant. And the truth of the nature is the abundance originates inside of you. I shared this the other day when I'm closing out my audible or verbal meditation. Uh, the last stanza of my meditation is that I enjoy life because it represents and presents the power and the wonder of the universe and myself. I am confident. I am serene. I am sure. No matter what obstacle or undesirable circumstance crosses my path, I refuse to accept it, for it is nothing but an illusion. There can be no obstacle or undesirable circumstance to the mind of God, which is in me and around me and serves me now. I am committed to excellence. I am adequately sufficient to meet every challenge. I am abundant, wealthy, debt-free, powerful, relentless, and dominant. I create, generate, elevate, gravitate, and dominate. I'm speaking into my life, but I'm also speaking in a way that I recognize how life flows with me. Those things that have not yet been established, those things that have not yet been realized in the third dimension have already been established in the sixth. So I say I am. The moment that I've conceived it in my mind, I have now established it. It's a reality. It hasn't presented itself completely yet. It hasn't fully manifested, but it's a reality. And you've got to see that. So I say I am, but watch what I say when I talk about abundance. I don't say I have abundance. I don't say I'm experiencing abundance. I say I am abundant. Why? Because anything that I decide to create for my life, I have for my life, if I can conceive it in my mind, I can produce it. My mind is the governing force behind what I am going to achieve and experience in this life. Now, I'm a very aggressive thinker and goal setter. So my mind sets it and then I go way out there after it. So I'm always behind the eight ball in the sense that where I've set the goal, it's probably going to take longer than I anticipated to get there. But I would rather strive completely and fully to get there and expend everything I have so that I leave nothing out there and be a little late getting there than to set it easy, get there real easy and leave a lot on the table because I don't get to pass this way again. So I would rather leave it all on the line. I would rather leave the fullness of what's going on out there. And then I wake up the next day and I go get it. So it may take me a week to get something I thought would take a day. It may take me a year to get something I thought would take a month. It may take me 5 years to get something I thought would take 6 months. It doesn't matter to me. What I do every day is I measure my progress. If I'm not the same man that I was yesterday, I've made progress. Something to be thankful for. The crazy thing is, as I'm thankful, the gateway opens wider. So I'm experiencing things that I hadn't even set out to experience. I'm getting things that I didn't set out to get. I'm having things that are truly ancillary results and benefits of being on my game and pushing forward. So I look beyond the obvious. See, some people are mad because the career hasn't taken off. Some people are upset because the business, some people are upset because they keep getting overlooked for promotions and raises. Some people are frustrated because they can't seem to find Mr. Right or Miss Right. Some people are frustrated because they didn't get the call back on the interview and all of these things. And so you get uptight, you get frustrated, and you start your self-talk. But your self-talk is centered in a pity party. I'm tired of this happening. Every time I try to do something, something goes wrong. One of my favorites that stopped me that I learned about in my late 20s, and I changed my self-talk. And people look at me and go like, what the hell are you talking about? You're not there. But I'm talking like what I will not talk is the things I don't want in my life that I'm not talking it. Because every time I talk it, it's an acknowledgement and it's a surrendering of power to it. I'm not ignoring it. I know it's that, but I'm not going to give it power because I'm going to focus on the solution. You cannot focus on the problem and the solution at the same time. You're either giving one power or the other. But what happens is when you sit up and you're doing all this stuff, your self-talk is reinforcing the idea and the notion in your mind that it's not yours. So the gate closes because God is only going to meet you at the level of your expectations. Life is only going to meet you at the level of your expectations. The universe is only going to meet you at the level of your expectations, no matter how you see it, no matter how you talk about it, no matter what you do. It's going to ultimately be what you expect from yourself and for yourself that you're going to experience, because your behaviors, your speech, everything is going to reinforce that belief, and you're going to ultimately manifest it, produce it, and walk into it. And every time you do it, you just reinforce it and you start it over again. If you're not getting what you want, you're going to have to completely switch paradigms. You're going to have to completely switch how you think, how you perceive. You're going to have to learn how to look beyond what the obvious is. The obvious is the light bill is due. The obvious is that you lost your job. The obvious is all these different things. But beyond the obvious, what is that I am abundant. Despite the loss of the job, I'm abundant. Despite the business setbacks, I'm abundant. Despite whatever financial things you're going through, I'm abundant. Despite whatever your challenge is, start speaking I'm abundant. Start seeing yourself come out of it. And then give yourself permission to be in the process. Stop thinking that if it doesn't happen when you think it should happen, it's not God's plan. God's plan is to prosper you. God's plan is to show you favor in this world when you're walking in your design. It is never God's plan to take from you and cause you to suffer. That is a response to thoughts that produce certain things and you allowing certain things in your life. Do you realize you have the ability to reject anything in your life you don't want, starting with the thoughts that surround it? If I don't want it, I don't acknowledge it. I reject it. The old folks used to say, I rebuke that. What are they saying? I'm not only not going to believe what you're saying about my life, I'm not only going to believe what this is presenting to me, I'm going to verbally and aggressively speak out loud my rebuke so that I move against it. I'm casting down arguments that exalt itself against the knowledge of God for my life. I'm bringing every thought into captivity, into obedience. I am literally managing my future by governing my thinking. So every day I wake up, the first thing out of my mouth, you hear me say this all the time, is thank you. I haven't even rolled over yet to turn the lights on or anything like that. I am laying in the bed in the dark, and when my eyes open, the first thing out of my mouth is thank you. Then before I move, I begin my prayer and meditation right there. I don't want my feet to touch the floor until I have established my power and my prowess in the day. Because I know just the simple fact that I'm challenging the forces of life to bring to myself the things that I believe God has for me and that I see in my vision, that it's going to be a tough day someday. It's going to be challenging. Some days are just awesome and great. But even in that, you see the little challenges. You just move through them quicker and they're not as emphatic. And then some days you look up and go, man, every single thing is coming. It's coming to change your mind about your destiny. But see, I'm not changing my mind about my destiny. I'm not changing my mind about what I expect out of life. I'm not changing my mind about who I am in this world. I'm not changing and because I have been relentlessly and forcefully pushing forth, I can sit up and say something like, this is my 25th published book. And when I publish books, you look at the thickness of that. When I publish books, I'm talking full-length books. I'm giving you something that you can sit there and you can chew on for a while, that you can break down. Yeah, I have some that's smarter, but all of my books are going to be if I call it a book, it's over 200 pages. Now, those that are under 200 pages, I don't call books. I call them booklets. I call them guides. I call them a bunch of stuff. I've written a bunch of those. But if I call it a book, it's over 200 pages. This one is going to be around 4 when we're done with it. But every chapter is modular. So what I mean by modular, meaning that it's not a linear demand on it, meaning you don't have to read chapter 1 to understand chapter 7. You don't have to read it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, most people, I wrote it where you can do it and it'll make sense and I'll break it down. As long as you get the introduction, then you can go from there, and there's different parts that's going to show you different things. I wrote it so each chapter can stand alone. It's a follow-up to the previous chapter, but it can stand alone, meaning you can read one chapter anywhere in that book and it's going to change your life. But the thankfulness of experiencing this is what creates the capacity to continuously do something that the average person won't do, to continuously do something that I couldn't have even perceived. And I'm sitting up and I'm thankful for Miss Marinelle Williams Leonard, my high school journalism teacher. who saw something inside of me besides an athlete, who eventually, when she was Miss Williams, married my coach, Coach Leonard, and they became surrogate parents because while I had a man and a woman in the home, they were my great grandparents. The age gap was so huge that there were just certain things that my great grandparents weren't going to do with me. They took me. I mean, there were times I was over their house on the weekend and they spent time with me, but she took me on her wing and she knew I had a problem not knowing my father. And she told me to do research and write write an article on absentee fatherhood. I wrote the article on absentee fatherhood. I named it The Invisible Father. This is, at this time, this is a couple of years after my dad died, a man I never got to meet, a man that's the one thing I wanted more than anything in the world was to meet. And he passed away when I was 14. I wrote this article when I was about 16. And she knew what it was doing to me, and she knew that was going to be cathartic. When I wrote that, I said, I'm going to write a book because an article doesn't do it justice. My first book was The Invisible Father, Reversing the Curse of a Fatherless Generation. And out of that, I never thought I would be talking about book 26, but I did know after writing it, I've got more to write. So I wrote Renewing Your Mind, The Dynamics of Transformation. And then it was just on. And it's just like so much that God has blessed me to either experience, to study, to understand, and to be able to use to help people. Now, I love doing and helping and working with people one-on-one. It's the thing I love to do the most. It's things but I'm reeling that in this year. I'm not going to be working as many people one-on-one as I have in the past, because I'm going to be doing a lot more events so I can reach more people at once and I can touch more lives. The touch won't be as emphatic, but at least I'm touching more people. Now, I'm still going to do some one-on-ones. Matter of fact, there's a link in the description box. If you want to work with me one-on-one and experience that, there's a link in the box. Go ahead, click it. You can see how you can work with me, what all happens and all that stuff and the good stuff. But and obviously there's a link to pre-order the book, $25. It's going to be $34.99 when we release it on April 7th. I'm saying April 7th, but I'm dancing between April 7th and 8th. I'm saying the 7th because it's a Friday. I like to release on Fridays or Tuesdays, but I'm thinking about releasing it on the 8th. It's a Saturday, but it's my daughter's birthday. And so I'm thinking about doing that. I haven't made it sure, but I'll know within a week or so what the final release date is going to be set for. But in the meantime, look beyond what the obvious is, because the truth of the matter is your reality is governed and interpreted based off of your personal perception of it. When you learn to start to see your circumstances as being a temporary obstacle that has no power to deter your destiny, then you start to sit up and understand that it's there to make you stronger, that it's there to test your faith, that it's there to see your resolve. It's there to find out if you're willing to go the distance. And that's the thing that most people aren't willing to do, is stand up, get up, saddle up and say, I'm not getting off of this horse until I finish. I'm not getting off this treadmill until I finish. If I have to, I'll die on this journey. If I have to, I'll die in this path. If I have to, I'll die on this treadmill. But what I won't do is quit. What I won't do is lay down, roll over, and start whining and complaining because things aren't going my way. What I won't do is sit up and blame everybody that's come along in my life because of the things they didn't do that I thought they should. From my 15-year-old mom and my absent father on up to whatever relationships with my children, with my ex, whatever. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, it's what you do. It's what you make of it. People are busy being them. People are busy going through what they're going through. My parents couldn't be anything more to me than what they were and who they were at the time. I could spend my whole life talking about what I didn't get, or I could sit up and say, I'm going to be a better parent myself. And what I find in my attempt to be a better parent is just how challenging parenting is. So it says, wait a minute. How am I expecting perfection from someone when I'm giving everything I got to try to get there and I'm not close? I'm still getting this parenting thing together. I'm still parenting my 37-year-old. She's my oldest. I'm still parenting her and helping and loving on her husband who loves her and every other kid down the line, all of them. But what it's taught me is to give grace to people who are trying to find their way. Because the truth of the matter is, my life may present different, but I'm trying to find my way. I may have done some things that the average person, but I'm trying to find my way. I have weaknesses. I have vulnerabilities. I have shortcomings. I experience setbacks just like any other person. The difference about me and what we may consider the average performer, I don't quit. I don't have an off switch or oh my God switch. I can't do it no more switch. None of those switches. My switch says go. You go until you get it. You might rest a little bit, but you're going to go until you don't fold. You don't surrender. You don't retreat. You don't give in. When you have a heart of thanksgiving, and I'm almost done here. When you have a heart of thanksgiving, it changes the framing of what you're seeing in your life. When you wake up and say, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and you start to talk and you start to speak and you start to look beyond the temporal circumstances of life and you start to see the longevity of the promise in your life, you start to understand, man, I ain't even touched the surface of what's going to happen if I just stand up. I'm grateful for the promise of my potential. I am grateful for the promise of my potential. That if I fulfill my potential, I won't have to chase greatness, it'll overtake me. If I walk in the fullness of my potential, it stops being about trying to be great and it just starts being about fulfilling who you are. Greatness is a side effect of walking in your design and in your purpose. God designed you for greatness. When you walk in your design, you will be overtaken by greatness. You ain't got to chase it. You ain't got to look for it in other people. You ain't got to get somebody else to co-sign it or validate it. You just got to walk in your design and live at the fullness of your design and be what you were designed to be, and greatness will be there waiting on you. Be thankful for the promise of your potential. Your circumstances are temporary. Wherever you're at, whatever you're going through, you may be in a painful situation. You may be going through some dark moments. You may be dealing with some setbacks, some frustrations. You're looking up and you're just weary. But I'm telling you, stop letting the circumstance be the defining moment of your life and start looking at the potential and the promise and start walking in the design. And I guarantee you that in time, the darkness will start to fade. And the light will begin to illuminate the room. And you will be able to see clearly. And you will be walking with purpose. And you will not only have fulfilled yourself, but you will have touched lives. That's why you're here. Oh, be thankful. One thing that my work does is it puts me in a constant state of gratitude. When I have to go visit somebody who's sick, when I have to go visit somebody who's incarcerated, when I have to go sit down with a couple who's fighting just to be able to stand each other. When all of these things that people are going through, I don't have to complain. God's been pretty good to me. My life has been a blessing. Has it been a bed of roses? Absolutely not. Has it been without challenge? Absolutely not. But what I can tell you, the heights that I've experienced, the mountaintops that I've been to, make all of the dark moments worthwhile. My valleys are celebrated because I've been to the mountaintop. I'm on an ascension again to another peak. And I'm thankful. So what am I saying? I'm saying, look at where you're going. Not so much where you're at right now. Look at where you're going. Look at where your potential can take you. Learn how to say thank you. There's so much power in those words. So look, I'm gonna get out of here. I thank you for letting me hijack your late morning. It's almost noon. My. But again, don't forget book number 26, dropping officially either April 7th or April 8th. I'm just gonna go ahead and say April 8th. It's a Saturday, but what the hell? April 8th. It's my daughter's gonna be her 21st birthday. So I'm dropping this on, as a celebration of her birthday, and that's that. But the regular price for this when it drops is going to be $34.99, and it's worth it all. So it's going to be $34.99. But right now you can pre-order it for $25. Pre-orders go out first once it drops. Pre-orders go first. These all are going to be signed with special notes. And if you want something particularly special when you order it, you can put that in the comment field, and I'll make sure when I sign it that I put that in the book. But these are all going to be signed copies. So get in and, take advantage of the price and the personalization of the purchase as well. So on that note, look, as I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. That's all I've been telling you this whole segment is I am going to live every moment as if it were my last, so that whenever it is that I breathe my last breath, I breathe it with a full appreciation that I gave life everything I had. And all I'm doing is I'm challenging you to do the same thing. Delissa, thank you so much. Do the same thing. Live your life on full. 86,400 seconds is all you got every day. They go by so fast. And we waste so much of it on nothingness, on darkness, on foolishness. Live your life on full. Love hard. Be patient with yourself and others. Commit to something great. And don't let it go. Watch how your life changes. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys, thank you for allowing me to hijack your midday. I'm out.